So cut it lengthwise. And then I'm gonna put these into the smaller ones you want to put into quarters. The little bit bigger ones you want to put into sixes. So I'm using red potato because I want it to be like a chunky, stays kind of earthy, down to earth kind of taste. Be careful with the knife. I don't have the best knife skills, but they get me by. We're gonna go to the actual cutting of the vegetable part. So the smaller pieces are okay. So let's say up to here, that's okay just to cut by themselves. You want to cut these really small, really thin, because you don't want to eat these in your soup really. You just want them to be flavor, so you don't really want these to be the star. Next up I'm getting celery. The reason why I'm trying to hold off on the onion so that all the other vegetables don't taste completely like onion all the time. Okay, question to people out there, is cereal soup? There, go do your research. Cut off the sides. Be careful because it's starting to twin, so it might not, it's getting to the point where it's not as good anymore. See on the inside there, it's kind of sprouting. So it may not be the best onion, but it's okay for now, for what we're making. What you want to do is you just want to take it out. Because you're not going to eat the green. It doesn't taste good. Don't even try. But we're college kids, so we don't care. So yeah, you want to dice your quarter of an onion. Also, your eyes may water up. It's okay. It just means that it's the tears of your enemies as you're defeating them. Why are you showing on my trash can? What are you doing? You're the worst at this. Okay. So let's see. So we got... Really. What you want to do first is you want to add your onion first. It doesn't matter which one goes first because you want the onion to kind of cook down a little bit. I'm gonna bring it down to about medium high. We'll see how it goes. If it's a little too hot, you'll hear it. There's a leftover of that one. And then about 2 pads in there. So these are just my preference because I like it a little bit spicy, and this one because it has a little bit more Asian flavor. So I have 2 garlic instead of using garlic powder. If you love garlic like I do, you may also get garlic powder, but for now, I just have this. Smush it down. I don't mind chunks of garlic in mine. So you want to go ahead and flavor the butter itself. You want to start seasoning like every single part. The salt, you don't want to add too much of it, so be careful. And then dash it there. Okay. So first things first, onion. So we kind of want these to wilt down a little bit. It's okay if your other pieces get in there. I just want to get the onion down. You don't want to add the garlic yet because if you burn that, it will taste bitter and that does not make a good roux. I'm going to add a little bit of salt. Very little. So you want to wait until these get a little bit softer. You can, if you look at it inside, it'll look a little bit white on the insides, but the outside will be clear. So you know it's cooking by then. Translucent is like it's almost completely white, but we don't want to get to that point just yet because we want to add these now. Most of the time I would go all the way, but since I want these to cook, so all these have different cooking times, so just be aware of how long it takes each part or how much you want to cook with each part. Like how soft you want it, or if you actually want to eat chunks of it. Or if even if you're using canned stuff. If you're using canned stuff, that like goes in last. Add garlic for about a few seconds so that you get the raw garlic taste out of it. And you just want to scrape off any brown butter. That's just good for flavor anyways. Just make sure it doesn't burn on there because then it's a nightmare. Now that we had our garlic cooking for a little bit, we're going to add potato. So if you decide to use oil instead of butter, be careful about that part because whenever you add oil to water, water to oil, it tends to splatter all around and that's a hazard. Some salt. Not too much because you're gonna probably add more later. A little bit of the red pepper. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of ginger, not too much, because this is our roux. And we can always add more to the soup itself. It's easier to add than to take away. So you want to let this cook down a little bit. So get this about 5 minutes and we'll see how soft it is at that point. Only added water because it started browning at the bottom and I didn't need it to be brown yet. So let's start with 1 tablespoon of the all-purpose flour, just so that I start coating it. So you want to kind of cook the rawness of the flour out because we're just making a roux. If it's sticking to the bottom, that's okay as long as it doesn't burn, which it's not, so you can tell it's burned by the smell of burnt food. But yeah, it coated everything, so we're good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get some water. We're going to start off with 2 of them. There's 1. See what I mean by it's okay if it sticks to the bottom, because now you're just going to be scraping off the bottom, and all that flavor that was cooking is now going to come up to the top and mix in with everything. Notice how it's slightly cloudy? That's because the roux we just made is going to thicken it up some and give it a little bit more thickness to it. Alright, so now that you don't feel anything at the bottom, that's good. So now we're going to add a second one. Oh yeah, look at how cloudy that is. That's what you want to see. Okay, now you just want this to heat up some to a boil, and then you're going to bring down the temperature so that it goes down to a simmer. But if it gets to a rolling boil, it's okay, just bring down the temperature. So now we're going to add the leeks. A little bit at a time. Leeks tend to go well with shiitake mushrooms, which I got at the farmer's market. So that's what I'm doing. That's why I got leeks in particular for this. So I noticed that there's a lot of leeks in here and potatoes, and it's not really covering it. So I'm going to add another bottle of water because we're also going to add mushrooms to this. Yep. Okay, so that flows a little bit more freely. So you're going to let that cook for about 15 to 20 minutes until the potatoes are soft and you can smush it against the side of the thing. So now while that's happening, we're going to go ahead and chop up and clean the mushrooms. So with the mushrooms, what I did was get a bowl of water and put them in there and just swoosh them around a little bit, because the inside the gills here, they can trap dirt and stuff like that. So notice how it's like clean and white. We want to kind of get to that point. And you also want to wipe off as much as you can from the top. You can use that with a regular paper towel, or if you did what I did is inside the water, I just wipe it off with my hands. As long as you get as much dirt as you can. So we're going to cut off the stems, because that part's too tough and you don't want that. Okay, and then cut them into slices. About 10 minutes in, then I'm going to dump the mushrooms in there when it's cooking, but it's still in the process of boiling. Let it take its time. It's one of those slow soups. So if you're looking for something like quick and easy, it's easy, but not quick. So this is something that is you can eat that night as you cook it, but I like to wait like another day to fully enjoy it. So first night, yeah, I can eat it to sustain myself. The next nights, though, it tastes a lot better when all the flavors are finally settled and kind of go into each other, especially like the potato part. What the potatoes would do is that it'll soak up all those flavors that are in there and still have like the thickness of the potato itself. So see potato, and then just smush it to the side. If it's resistant, then it's not cooked. You want something that's a little bit more smushy. You want to keep it at a simmer. A simmer is like when it gently boils, like it's not really heavy. So I'm gonna smush it up. See, only barely amount of pressure and it's already falling apart. So you know you're at that stage. So now with about 5 minutes left or so, I'm gonna add the mushrooms so that it'll cook in the last 5 minutes. I kind of want to keep the meaty texture, so that's why I'm adding it a little bit later. salt, pepper, because I love that. This. Adobo is my friend. Just be careful not to over-season it. It kind of got to a rolling boil whenever it had the cover on because it was keeping the heat in there, which is okay. Since the mushrooms were cooking, that's fine. So we're going to check the potatoes again. They're good. So we're going to just keep smashing some potatoes on the side to thicken up the soup a little bit. But otherwise, after we're done smashing some of them, you're good to eat. Right before you taste it, you want to mix up your soup. Now, if you're cooking this for like a party, try not to use your same spoon over and over again, but this is us, so we don't care about each other's germs. So, right?
No.
Put your soup ladle or whatever spoon you have on hand, and we're good to go.